Good evening and welcome to the third round of our 1978 USAC National Championship, coming to you tonight from Texas World Speedway, which is looking to be a cracking event. With me in the booth I have Jason White. I suppose good afternoon to you, Jason, seeing
Good
as
afternoon to
where you
me,
are in
but
the world.
good afternoon to me, but good evening to other people in other parts of the world. Thanks again, Jonathan, for covering our USAC series. You do an excellent job every time out, and I think we're going to have a really interesting show for everyone today. 200 miles in Texas on the high banks. This is going to be a definite challenge.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of drivers both discussing and complaining about how difficult it has been for them to get used to this, because this is, I believe, one of the first times we've ever really raced on this kind of bank track at these kinds of speeds. How has that transition been for you, for example?
Well, it's a very different challenge than what we had last time out at Ontario. This track is a high banked speedway, 2 miles around, and there's a lot of centrifugal force going into the car, and the suspension is basically being squatted to its nth degree. And because of that, the cars don't like to change direction very much. That has an impact on how you attack traffic. It has an impact on how you race with other people. You have to plan your overtakes a lot sooner than you would in the past. It's a very, very different challenge than a squared off, or a rounded off rectangle like Indianapolis or Ontario is. This track is very similar in nature to Michigan International Speedway. The big difference being that the banking is a lot more in the turns here. In the banking here is 24 degrees. In Michigan, it's about 18. So the speeds are going to be higher here probably than you'll see when we race Michigan later on.
And I'd assume because of the higher speeds, the tire wear will have a part to play as well.
Definitely on the right front. The tires are going to be an issue. I mean, these tires last longer than they would have in the 74 series because now there's no tire war going on, and Goodyear's just making a tire that is reliable. So you can probably double stint the inside tires to gain some time in the pits if you want. But the real trick for everybody is going to be taking care of the right front. If you abuse the right front by going down really low in the turn and pushing out, and just not lifting as much as you ought to, you're going to pay for it on the next lap. The tire is going to be too hot, and the car is just going to skate right up the track. So, but the good news is if you give the tire a bit of a breather there and the temperature comes back down, then suddenly you have the grip back the following lap. So you just have to be very careful how you take care of the tires in this race. And the other big problem today there's two other big problems that people have to think about: fuel mileage and engine oil temperature. It's probably a good time to go into the keys to the race, I would think.
Well, just wanted to quickly bring up the track map before we go
Oh.
there with Texas World Speedway. It's a 2-mile oval, and we'll be going for 100 laps, which will equal, obviously, 200 miles. Let's quickly bring up your keys to the race then. Where we have, as you mentioned, as the third point, keep the engine oil under 120 degrees. That, I'd assume, will be quite the difficult proposition around here, because you're so long and so pretty much always, I'd assume, on the throttle.
Not always. You do lift going into the corners. Even if you have, I mean, the only conceivable way that you could go around this track completely flat is if you had higher wings to give you the downforce, but then of course your straightaway speed would be killed. So it's the real thing that's going to cause engine oil temperature to go too high is going to be if you run the boost too high. And people have been looking for that sweet spot, that where they can run the boost at a certain amount and they still get the fuel mileage, but they also don't go over 120 degrees Celsius, or the equivalent to that for Fahrenheit, for those of us of the Fahrenheit persuasion, is 248 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's the number you want to watch for. If you start going over that, then you're flirting with the possibility of not finishing this race. You're flirting with the possibility of having a barbecue before the race is over. So, but the other thing that's going to be super critical in this race, what were the other two keys? I haven't looked at this in a while. Sorry.
Well, you mentioned the wings being trimmed out for the
Yes.
fuel economy, and then we obviously have the 4 fuel mileage as well. Have one gear for slipstreaming and another for pushing on your own.
Yeah, the other part of it is some people will find that driving with that higher revving third gear, the race gear. Hang on 1 second. Sorry. They're gonna find that if you're coming out of the pits with cold tires, running in that third gear makes the car more manageable. If you try to do that with fourth gear, like with lower revs, it has the unenviable situation of the car going into lazy slides, which you don't want here. So, it's of course, the trickiest bit for everybody starting the race is going to be the first few laps, and then the first few laps of each stint when you leave the pits, full of fuel and with cold tires, because the car is going to be at its most treacherous to drive in the turns there. As the fuel burns away and as the right side tires wear, the car becomes progressively more neutral and eventually pushes a great deal. So everybody's going to have their rear sway bar mapped. I'm using the full range of it through the stint. That's how critical it is.
And for those of us of a different persuasion, the sway bar is also called the roll bar.
The anti-roll bar, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'd assume it's because of the added mass on the cold tires that is causing the troubles when you're coming out of the pits on the cold tires.
Yeah, it just, the car, the rear end just feels like it's just floating over the surface rather than biting into it. It just doesn't have the grip. But the good news is it only takes maybe 3 or 4 laps before the tires are sufficiently hot to even the thing out. At least that's what I've found. So, but you're going to see, and Jakes was mentioning this to me earlier before we went on the air, you're going to find that people are going to have a variety of different lines based on what kind of car they drive. So I wouldn't expect to see everybody necessarily hugging that dashed white line. I mean, that's ideally where I want to be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else will be there. And as the nature of the car changes from start of the race to finish, the line will probably change too. So, I mean, we've got a lot of room to race here. It's a wide track, but it's going to seem pretty narrow at some points.
I can imagine that, especially if you run up on where you might be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars in the same vicinity on the racetrack.
Oh God, I really hope I don't have to deal with that too much. All right, well, I've got to go because qualifying is about to begin. But again, we really appreciate you broadcasting, and hello to everyone on YouTube. Hopefully, Adam and I are going to have a good day today. We got to redeem ourselves after last week. So.
Yeah, best of luck, and thank you for joining me for this one. And I hope that you and Adam will have a good race and make old Penske happy here.
Yeah, well, we're thinking positive, and we're using the Penske mantra that effort equals results. So we put in a lot of effort this week. Hopefully, it'll pay off in about an hour or 2 hours time here. All right, later.
Take care and best of luck.
Thank you.
User left your channel.
That was Jason White joining us for a short stint here in the broadcast booth, now heading off to get ready for qualifying, as he said. Happy to see you here, Barry Lynn, and happy to have 8 viewers at the moment. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Before we head to the track and checking out some of the on-track action, as qualifying will start in about 3 minutes' time, let's have a quick look at the points situation and what we can expect in terms of scored points here tonight. It is again a 200-mile race, just like we had last time out, so the winner will score 400 points, second 320, third 280, fourth 240, fifth 200, sixth 160, seventh 120, and then it drops by 20 points down to 100 for 8th, and all the way down to 20 points all the way down to 12th, where 12th will score 20 points, and then 13th to 16th place finishers will score 10, 17th to 20th will score 8, 21st to 24th will score 6, and the final 2 finishers in tonight's event, or possibly our first 2 retirees, we obviously don't know yet, will score 4 points, because as long as you have started the race, you are eligible to score points as far as I'm aware in this championship, so that is at least a positive side for all our runners. In terms of the championship standings, we have David Yates leading the standings after 2 very consistent races on 560 points. I noticed he had a little bit of struggle in terms of out and out race pace by the looks of things in practice, but I noticed he got up to, I think, the top 5 before I
User joined your
had to
channel.
look away from the actual on-track action. Second in the point standings is Alberto Jr. on 406 points, 6 points ahead of Juha Bors, who I believe scored his a good amount of points last time out, because I think he had a pretty lackluster first round. He sits in third on 400 points. Cesar Shlapinski lies in fourth on 310 points, and fifth, the lone Lola in the field, Ray Bidall, sits there on 300 points, as we are joined by Richard Wilks. Good evening, Richard.
Good evening, Jonathan. How are you doing?
I am pretty good, thank you.
Yes, I decided that you might need a hand here on the commenting booth, so I decided to join. I hope you don't mind.
I'm very happy for you to join us, so no problems from me in terms of that.
Seems the qualifying session is already underway.
Yep. Let's have a quick jump over to the actual track here. There we go. I just need to sort out my little bit of graphics. There we go. Let's see. We have Jakob Ferguson out on track at the moment. Let's jump on board with him here and follow him for a lap here at the Texas World Speedway, coming down across the start-finish line. You can already notice that it's quite banked on the front stretch itself and down into turn 1 and 2. And here we can see the 24-degree banking really working to keep the car on its trajectory. Down a very, very long back straight and into 3 and 4. And Jakob is taking quite a low line here, compared to what we would have seen from a few of the other runners, I'm fairly sure, as he puts himself in 7th at the moment.
Yes, I expect to see maybe a bit more aggressive laps in qualifying and going a bit lower on the track, but I don't expect... there will for sure be a few people that will use the low line in the race, but for a perfectly balanced car, a middle to higher line is preferable in this track.
That certainly sounds about right, as Ferguson, I don't think, improved on that lap and currently 12th in the standings. A very impressive outing here so far that I've seen is David Saber, who is currently at the top spot, sitting in the pits, having finished his 2 qualifying runs, so the Wilks McLaren team will be very happy with that, I reckon.
Yeah, also a very impressive performance that I've seen was from Mikey Grams. He's using an outdated car and he stands now 4th. And I've seen his run. It was very tidy laps, a very consistent line. That's a very, very impressive time.
Certainly. I also noticed August Watering is way up there in, I believe, 7th at the moment. So that's quite impressive as well. And we can see here Ray Riddle. Let's see if he is able to improve. to put himself a little bit further up. He doesn't, so he remains 11th.
You have Cesarius on his run now.
Noticed he was leaving the pits. Let's see if we can find him. There's Yannick as well. Here we have Shlapinski, so let's see what he can do. Only 27 thousandths down, so the Coyote really working well here tonight. Ooh, and a really aggressive low line there. Below the yellow line even. Let's see if it has worked. 5th at the moment, 2.5 tenths down. And really taking a very wide entry into the corners.
Oh, he's up now.
Yep, let's see if he can keep it up through 3 and 4 as well.
It's going to be hard because with that aggressive line, yes.
Oh, there he goes, he's off.
You overheat the tires when you try to run that hard, and I guess he paid the price for it.
Certainly looks like it. That was a pretty hefty off. And looks like Brian Yannick is coming in here to finish his run. 2 tenths up at the moment. Let's see if how far he improves. Only 1 position for 2 tenths. Wow.
Well, to be fair with Brian, he's not driving the most competitive equipment tonight. It's a very old McLaren 16 that he's driving, so I guess we can't expect much, especially in qualifying trim. But we shall keep an eye on him in the race.
For sure, he's always a very consistent driver, so that'll be very interesting to watch. And Jason Fitch in the AMC-powered Eagle, 19th, so... And another one-off drive is Mikael Drexler, currently 18th on the grid. And Luciano Roja improving, now 16th on the grid. He's been a little bit further back in opening 2 rounds, but looks like he's more comfortable here at the Texas World Speedway.
That's true, at least in terms of absolute lap time. It's going to be very interesting in the race. Like Jason said before, we don't expect that this pecking order that we just watched in qualifying will translate in the same way to the race. So I expect quite a lot of shuffle in positions between people and a very unpredictable race, I would say.
Certainly sounds like the way it might very well go, considering the limitations of both amount of fuel you can use and obviously keeping the engine running the full distance.
Yes, that's another consideration that people will have. Fuel and engine reliability are going to play a big part in this race, way more than I think until now, at least in this season. And people will have the option of increasing the boost and pass someone rather cleanly and quickly down the straights, for example. But that increases fuel consumption, increases engine temperature, so it's going to be a gamble for everybody. Now we have a short 10-minute warm-up.
And I notice now, and I can hear that the cars are coming out on track, I should say. I especially noticed the... Ooh, there comes Fredriksson flying across the grass. I think he applied a bit too much vigorous throttle application there, coming out of the pit lane.
Yeah, they have to be careful coming out into the pit lane because the track is very banked, and it can be a hard transition if you go too fast. So people, have to be smooth entering and exiting the pits, or else that sort of thing can happen.
I notice, just talking about the track, and it is looking gorgeous. There appears to be what looks like an infield part to the track.
Yes, I believe there was a circuit also that not only is infield, but we can even see on the back straight that it goes from the infield to the outside of the track. And I guess I'm not the most knowledgeable on this. For sure, Jason knows more than me, but yes, I believe there was a road circuit connected with this track, which was not that unusual. Even smaller ovals like Phoenix had road courses connected to them.
That is indeed correct. Now I recognize the layout. I believe a few years ago we actually have raced on this particular the road course version of this track. We have raced previously. Not at ISO though, but back when we were racing at another site, we were racing I believe like 70s muscle cars around this particular little road course.
Yes, I think it was in the schedule of Trans Am and such races back then. So
Indeed, that sounds right. And here we can see Alberto Senior flying past, absolutely demolishing Fredriksson down the front straight.
I wonder if that's a prelude for the race.
I'm very sorry for Jacob if that is the case, but knowing Alberto, I think he has a Cosworth in his machine, while Fredriksson, I believe at least, has an Offenhauser in his.
Yes, Fredriksson has one of the better Offenhausers back then, I think. The SGD variant, which was a bit better than the standard Ophi that they had, but still couldn't hold a candle to the Cosworths. And yes, indeed, Alberto has a Cosworth. The Cosworth cars should have the edge here. They have the power, and not only the power, the fact that they can run so much quicker allows them to also lift more down the straights, ironically, which allows them to actually be easier for them to manage fuel consumption. So I expect the Cosworth cars to have a bit of an easier life around here than anybody that is more underpowered, let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I notice just looking at the times coming in now as people are getting the tires and engines up to temperature. Jason is absolutely flying up in front, but Saber ain't too far off, so seems like that McLaren is working pretty well in race trim as well.
Oh yes, the McLaren. Yeah, well, the McLaren also has a Cosworth. It was one of the top cars. So I believe Saber has a chance of doing well here for sure. Jason, I know Jason put a lot of practice. Especially for race trim. So I think he's gonna have a pretty strong pace also here today.
He told me before we went live here that he both him and Adam really sees this as their opportunity to avenge their lackluster result last time out. And, they have also gone by the Penske motto of practice and work equals results. And I notice now that Adam Hackman is up into second on the race pace timings here, so definitely looks like the Penske boys has got their cars running very well here. And a bit of a surprise, I suppose, is Martin Lasina up into third at the moment in race trim. He's had a bit of a lackluster start to the season, but looks like his car is running quite well here.
Well, we shall see. It's like I said before, it's not hard to do a quick lap. It's quite a lot harder to keep a quick pace, and that will be key. You know, it's if you run an aggressive line, you run low, you can do a quick lap, but your tires are not gonna like it, and after a few of those, you definitely have to back off because you start to heat up or even wear your tires. And not only that, but also everybody has a chance of doing quick if they turn their boost up. But at some point they will have to turn it down, or else they risk not having enough fuel to finish the race.
Quite so, and noticed here, since we were talking about Yannick a little while ago, he could be struggling, but I think he's found a drafting partner here in the form of David Yates, at least in this warm-up session, and looks like his car is running very well in the dirty air in the corners.
Well, Yannick has one of the... he's... Oh no, I thought he was driving a Wildcat like last time, but no. The cars that have the different nose, let's put it that way, that don't have a front wing, have an easier time in traffic because their aerodynamics are less affected by the dirty air, basically, so they can follow cars a bit easier. So that's something to keep in mind, especially at a track like this.
As we see there, David Yates really getting a push in 3 and 4 and almost runs into the rear end of Dana Schurer's McLaren. We can see there, that looks like 3, maybe 4 different lines through the corners, and everyone going more or less the same kind of speed through the corner. This is going to be a fantastic race if we get some pack action going. And we have another one-off driver, actually. We have Alan Santo, a Brazilian driver, running his first ISO race here tonight, so we are certainly hoping that he has a good event. It's fairly nice, consistent car he's got his hands on, at least, so shouldn't bite him as soon as... If he makes a mistake, or as soon as he may make a mistake, it at least won't kill him immediately. It'll give him a little bit of a warning and then take him off the road. But again, hopefully he'll have a good one, and nice to see some more new blood taking part in these races.
Yes, well, we are not sure of the previous racing experience of Alan, but I would guess that, 70s Indy cars is pretty far off his element, so it's not surprising that there will be some time to adapt that he will need. But at least, the important thing is to get up to pace slowly and surely, and not try to just shortcuts or try to follow the other cars. If you don't have the setup, if you don't have the experience, it might bite you indeed. So the best thing to do is get up to speed at your own rhythm and see how you go.
Yeah, for sure. And seeing at how he was running in practice before the race here, it looks like that is his plan. Let's see, the time has gone down to 0, so shortly we'll be heading into the race.
Yes, and this is one to pay attention, because action will be frantic and fast coming.
That's certainly most likely true.
So people are aligning themselves on the pit lane as it's customary now. And as soon as they are all aligned and the starter orders are given, they will be coming down behind the pace car for their warm-up lap. With David Saber leading the pack on pole with his McLaren. He's doing the Johnny Rutherford impersonation here with us today. And I have to say, it's very nicely looking track and a very nice looking field. And there they go, the pace car is moving, our Corvette, and people are well, trying to get underway, which is sometimes not easy with these cars. And I guess we have a problem because I think Martin Lucena is stopped on the grid.
Ooh, certainly looks like it. That's not good.
He's blocked. Everybody's blocked behind. Is it Lucena? I'm not sure.
That is Lucena indeed in the number. One of the cars. He's escaped back. I hope he is able to still run, but we'll have to see. Considering how late everyone gets away, and there's another one very slow away there, may possibly stall, and Shura has a spin off pit lane as well, so all this stress is not good.
He's saying that his steering wheel is not working for some reason, so he seems to have a technical problem at the moment.
It looks like we will get a restart.
Yes, looks like the admin gods have granted Lucena another chance, which is not always happens here at ISO. We take the starting procedure very seriously, but given that it seemed to be something beyond his control, we're going to try again and see if this time everything is working fine for him.
I think it's also taking into account the amount of drivers that was affected by that unable getaway for Martin as well.
Yes, it's true. They were so far behind that there could have been problems with the order, and of course other people should not be penalized for that. Let's see if Martin got it working this time. No, it seems not. It seems he's saying that it doesn't work still. So I guess this race is going to have to be run without Martin, which is, well, it's a shame because he certainly put his time. So yeah, it's a tough break for him.
Quite so. Looking down the field on the grid here, we have David Sabre, as you mentioned before, on the pole for the Wilks McLaren team. Jason White for Penske Racing in second, Adam Hackman for Penske in third, Mikey Grem's impressive qualifying in fourth for Tibon Gelhausen, Schlapinski fifth for Gilmore Racing, Alberto Quino sixth for Interscope, seventh for David Yates, eighth for August Watering, ninth for Juha Bors, 10th for David Junt, 11th for Ray Rideau, 12th for Alberto Ibanez, 13th for Jacob Ferguson, 14th for Dana Schura, 15th for Luciano Roja, 16th for Raul Ireb, 17th for Michael Drexler, 18th for Jason Fitch, 19th for Bruno Chacon, 20th for Brian Yannick, 21st for Peter Large, 22nd for Jules Bouchard, 23rd for Greg Della Cella, 24th for Aniel May, 25th for Alan Santo, and I believe the final car on the grid will be Ryan Walker, who I don't believe set a qualifying time, as we are now heading down the front stretch, the curved front stretch, and green flag is out and race is underway, and it looks like Sabre has had a decent start here. One of the other cars had a very lackluster start indeed. Let's jump on board with David Sabre right here, whereas he is very slow off turn 2. As here comes Jason White with a great run down the inside. Not wanting to take that line though. As everyone streams through turn 4.
Beautiful pack. Lap number 1 is on the history books.
Definitely is, and everyone is putting up a frantic pace at the moment.
Adam Hackman on the move, overtaking 2 people at the same time.
Oh, but he is on the 4-car dirty air, but it looks like he managed to find some clean air and got some grip in the front wing, as Mikey Grems makes a move as well, up past David Yates. And here comes Slapinski down the inside, a great run off turn 4.
Everybody very, very fast now. Nobody wants to give an inch.
No, indeed. Ooh, there's almost a bit of contact there between Junt and that was Juha Bors. And Bors with the run down below the white line, pushed way down there. Had to check up to not make contact. Oh, Bors is spinning! Bors is off! Oh no, he's taken 2 cars with him! Oh, that's a big crash as well. That was
a huge
Dana
crash.
Schur and Ray Riddall, unfortunately. Oh, and I think that was Bruno Chacon collected Ray
Yes,
Riddall on the
Chacon-
way past. And we have a yellow
Chacon-
flag. Of course we have a yellow
Yes,
after that.
there's too many cars involved.
Oh, looks like
Juha
Ray
Bors.
is going to be a retiree. Sorry for cutting you off there.
No, I was just going to say that Juha Bors is without his front wing. So we have involved Juha Bors, Ray Riddall, Bruno Chacon, and who did we miss?
Oh, Mikael Drexler as well got collected in that, I think. And
People are
Jason
racing to the
Finch.
line, but now of course they have to slow down because they cannot overtake the safety car, although they are. They have to wait for it. And let's see if everybody slows down safely, which is sometimes not easy to do.
Looks like everyone was able to do that though.
So Fitch, Drechler, Ray Riddall and Dana Schur are out of the race. Chacon is still circulating.
With a very bent rear wing, and doesn't look like that car will be able to run for very long, but we have been surprised before, so could work out. That was a big crash. That's one of the dangers with these pack races where everyone is going very quickly. NASCAR obviously sees these kind of crashes fairly often from what I've collected, although I have to be honest, I haven't watched a lot of NASCAR races, but the ones I have watched has had these kind of accidents where one goes and
Yes,
then collects a few more.
indeed. I have to say that I think people, they were a bit too greedy in these initial laps because, after all, this is still a 100 lap race where a lot of things can happen in terms of fuel and strategy, and I think people were maybe a bit too eager to gain positions so early in the race. But of course, it's much easier to say when I'm sitting here and not inside the virtual cockpit there.
And clearly Juha Bors is into the pits for repairs, and I noticed he also picked up a stop and go, so USAC man clearly had some kind of unhappiness with something Juha did. I don't think it was the crash situation itself, that's just one of those things, but clearly something else Juha did after that was something they weren't happy with.
Yes, it's hard to determine what was now. It might have been that he was off position.
Could
And
be.
we are going
We're
back to
already
green.
back to green flag racing. Dear me, that was a very quick turnaround. Jump back on board with David Saber as he is trying to work his way through 1 and 2. You can see the field behind. Jason White closest behind, and then it's Yakes and Hackman, Schlapinski, Fredriksson on the inside, and Grems on the outside line there. I noticed if it's true that that Juha Bors left the pit lane without a front wing. As Jason White takes the wide line, really throws it in there. It looks like he will take the lead here.
It was
So
a
he's
daring
not
move on the
hanging
outside.
around.
No, he's not. I think Jason has the pace to at least lead comfortably, and he for sure doesn't want to be surprised with any dirty air, so he prefers to be in front.
Looks like the air that is taken off the rear wings is a little bit troublesome for the drivers, but they are making it work. And a bit of action behind that. That's Roja and Santos at it, and I think that was Walker hanging with them in the McLaren. And still some really hard, big pack action. As Jason White says the quickest lap, but here comes the pack. Here we have Ferguson, Hlavac, Grems, Junt. I believe that was Schlapinski or possibly Chacon. That's Schlapinski and Bouchard hanging with them. As there's Junt with a good run and Bouchard with a good run. Ooh, and that looked like someone was going a little bit high. They are indeed. That's Hlavac going just a little bit wide and sideswiping Junt just a little bit. Drops them both a position each. 2 positions for Hlavac, but both of them are able to keep on running.
That was lucky there. You don't want to do that again.
Certainly not. Ooh, and that looks like smoke in the back of Bouchard's car.
Already.
That
Well,
looks
that's not good news.
that is certainly looking like smoke coming out of the back of that car. Certainly seemed like some kind of participation there, as Saber sets the quickest lap of the race so far. So he is hanging with White, and it looks like they are breaking away from the chasing duo of Yakes and Hackman.
Well, I would not be surprised. I mean, they are competent drivers. They have fast cars. In fact, there seems to be a group of 4 breaking away now, which consists of Jason White, David Saber, David Jakes, and Adam Hackman.
Well, it looks like Alberto Ibanez is slowly working his way up the field, currently 12th. With Yannick in tow behind him, so this pack from about 6th, 7th is going to be even bigger in just a little bit. But as you say, it certainly looks like there is a 4-car train pulling away, and then there's 4 seconds now back to the battle for 5th, down to about 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And there's another bit of a gap back to Hlavac, who's leading, or partly pulling away from the big pack behind him. Where Ibanez now has worked his way up to 11th, with Watering up in 12th. Bouchard down to 13th, with Yannick 14th and Jareb in 15th.
Yes, the yellow flag period was not long enough to get people off the hook in terms of fuel. They still will need to mind that, especially the ones equipped with the less powerful engines. So we have to keep an eye on that, because we might see some people dropping their pace suddenly, and then we will know why.
For sure, and while we were talking about that, Adam Hackman set the fastest lap of the race, and I wouldn't be surprised if he sets another one, because he is right in the tow behind David Yakes. Actually not a faster lap, but Hackman currently in the box seat to get pulled along and save even more of that precious fuel.
Yes, it seems to me that David Saber is running into trouble with his tires, possibly. He's dropping pace, and Jakes and Hackman are really hanging around him, you know. And I won't be surprised if there's a move soon. And there goes David Jakes on the inside. It's a clean pass, and he got him.
Ooh, and Sabre almost up in the wall and has to drop even further behind. Oh, there's a spinner in front, I think. That looked like some tire debris at least, but doesn't look like... I couldn't see anyone on the down the bottom of the track, so possibly just a slight mistake.
Maybe they're now lapping Juha, which stays off the line. And Jason White is trying to get away with this one.
Yeah, certainly looks like he is able to do it at the moment, as Saber slips back past Adam Hackman, so Saber ain't giving up yet in his pursuit of a good finish.
Little Al, who was the winner of the previous race, let's not forget that, is now in 9th. And I wonder when we will see him move up the field, because I believe he has the pace.
See, I'm on board with him for a lap here and see how the pack racing looks from a more or less a driver's point of view. Whereas he dives way down inside of everyone else. But he has to hold back so he doesn't drift up, so that loses him all the time he gained on the entry. There's balls up high. Is able to stay there and let Junior past as well.
Meanwhile, Saber and Hackman are in a duel for 3rd position, with Hackman overtaking Saber once again.
So there we are, and Hackman now opened up almost a second lead from that. And look at that car angle so nicely there. Running almost on a bit of a slide, so he definitely looks to be very well set for the early parts of the race at least, or well, I suppose the late part of the stint, because I'd assume we'll see stops around the lap 30 to 35 mark.
Yes, Hackman is on the move now. He just set the fastest lap of the race, and he's getting dangerously close to David Jakes.
That is highly impressive, and in front of them, that is, I believe, Chacon and Angel May. As Angel stays low and holds her line, and the Jakes and Hackman has to find their way past. And they are able to do it quite without any major issues. It looks like Jason White lost out some time in that lapping shenanigans. Now it's Alan Santo being the next in line. And he very sportingly stays high to let the faster cars choose a faster, lower line. And a bit further back, Shlapinski has worked his way up to 6th place now, right in behind Mikey Grams, and he dives down the inside on the entry to 3. And behind him, Fredriksson and Equino is side by side as well, with Junt trying to get in on the action, and it looks like he will be able to, because he is in the draft.
Yes, this group refuses to break up. They've been running together since the beginning of the race, and they're still running together.
And once again, Alberto Junior loses out on the exit, having run the lower line. And here comes Senior as well, only 3.7 seconds behind now. Although he has a bit of company in form of Lavac, Yannick, Watering and Jareb still. Ooh, and there's a bit of pretty hefty contact there. That was between Watering and I believe it was Yannick trying to find some space.
Well, that could have ended badly. It was very lucky that August could hold the car on that situation.
Looks like it's now a leading trio, because Saber has dropped back with the lap traffic, so it's now 2 Penskes against 1
Wildcat.
Wildcat. And there we saw the quartet fighting for what I think was 9th, 8th, 7th and 6th and 5th. So actually 5 of them fighting for it. And I honestly think Hackman, although he is now running past, Hackman is certainly in the box seat because he's been able to run in the slipstream for a huge amount of laps here. So he should be in a very good position in terms of his fuel mileage.
Well, that's true. If he was comfortable already driving Penske Cosworth, I guess he will be even more comfortable now. And he basically leaves David Jakes in the dust.
Well, certainly trying to do so. I think about 8/10 is where the slipstream is dropped, so Jakes is just about holding on for the moment, but if Hackman has another really good corner here, he should be able to leave him indeed. It looks like he has 1.2 seconds now, so now it's all a question of can he catch up to his teammate and can they then work together to save even more fuel. As Bors now leaves the pit lane, I'd assume he pitted for full on repairs, fitting a new nose and trying to find a bit more pace in that car. As the 5 fighting for 5th to 9th is still going strong. As Mikey Grems is really flying in that Timon Gelhausen entry. Right now flow up into 5th position. And Equino again trying to run the lower line.
I believe Bilbao is trying to get away from the dirty air from all the cars in front of him, but well, I don't know if that's the best strategy for it, because he's basically just losing time behind the other cars. I would think that he might want to overtake him.
There's a spinner. Sorry, for cutting you off. That was a spinner, and everyone was able to avoid that car. That was Juha Bors again, unfortunately.
Yes. I guess it was not possible to repair everything in this car. Now he's spinning again because he has a flat tire, and this is a very dangerous situation now. Oh, now all the pack by him.
Very, very good read.
Now he's down low.
That was the leading pack as well.
Well, he's posting very slowly to the pits, I suppose. Let's hope nobody takes the very, very low line this time.
Hopefully the flag personnel, the marshals, are frantically waving the white flag for slow car / debris. I believe, if I remember correctly, there are a few flags that are slightly different in American race series compared to FIA sanctioned race series, such as I think it's like the way, I know there is the way the blue flag works, but I believe there are a couple of other differences as well.
Yes, well, in American racing the white flag is for the last lap only. So I would guess in this situation there would be yellows, but we didn't have a yellow for that. And because of that, now Jason White, Adam Hackman and David Jakes are still very much a trio at the front, with Hackman maybe looking like he wanted to do a move on Jason, but then he thought better of it. I would guess he's saving fuel indeed.
Certainly a possibility. I'd don't believe Adam has a win yet at ISO, so he'll be wanting that win. I believe Jason hasn't had a win either in ISO as far as I'm aware, so...
No, I believe Jason has one. Well, actually, you're right. In ISO, I'm not sure now. And I think we're starting the pit stop dance, because I see on the pits August Ottring and someone else, I believe, is Petr Lavac, yes.
Those are
And
both coming in.
David
Eccles
Jakes.
Yakes, is it?
Yes, David Jakes is entering the pits. He's the first of the leaders to pit. And David Saber also in the pits.
And I believe that is Ryan Walker in the 77 M16, and Yakes with a slightly troublesome entry to his pit stall, and that holds up Watering as well, as he has to go around the Yakes car. And another car with a slightly troublesome entry was Petr Lavac. No, sorry, not Lavac. Slapinski.
Grams is in the pits also, in front of Slapinski actually. And there goes Slapinski out.
And I believe Jason White is now in the pit lane because Adam has taken the lead. Oh, and there's a bit of a miscommunication there. Looks like that was... Oh, there's a yellow as well! Oh, dearie me. Whatever caused that? Oh, there's a car way off the track with a big crash.
Something happened indeed while we were taking...
That
well,
looks like that could have been Greg Della Cella, possibly. Looks like Greg's engine has given up, but he pulled to the inside, so maybe someone else went as well, but Greg is certainly in trouble.
yes, Greg is a retiree.
Trying to find if anyone else was off the track or rejoining in that area, but it doesn't look like it, so that must have been for the blown engine for Greg Della Cella, unfortunately.
It's possible, and this throws all sorts of things into the mix, because according to the standings, the leader is now Little Al, but he has quite a lot of cars in between him and the pace car. So I believe all the cars in front of him are in a very big danger of losing a lap here. Considering that he might not have pitted yet, but maybe he still has to enter the pits, which will shuffle the order once again. There's a car going very slowly in front of the pace car.
I believe those who hasn't pitted is Alberto Junior, Raul Jereb. Oh dear,
Oh,
they are
there's a
both
car
getting...
upside down in the main straight. What happened there? Yeah, it seems Alberto has a penalty.
I wonder if that was for passing either a car or the safety car, heading into the pits.
It's possible, yes. The yellow was thrown just as people were pitting, and we know sometimes that's not the ideal situation. So at the front, we are now back, well, to the same people, but in a different order. David Jakes is in front, Jason White, then Adam Hackman.
Looks like there's possibly some... Looks like USAC man is struggling with his scoring here, because now Yakes has dropped back behind. Now back behind two cars.
It seems he was given the order to let some cars go through. Well, we might not forget that some people might get penalties for... Oh gosh, that's not what you want to see here. Some people might get penalties for pitting when the pits are closed. So now I don't know who was that passed so quickly the front runners there, but fortunately nothing bad happened. But that was a close call.
It certainly was. As now Ibanez is back scored as the leader.
So it seems.
And Junior in second.
And we are back to... No, we are not back to green. Excuse me.
No, I think everyone is trying to slow down and sort everything out, as USAC man is giving all kinds of different calls to different teams and drivers, trying to sort everything out.
Yes, I believe that people went into the pits while before the yellow was thrown, as we could see, and during the yellow. So this, of course, needs that the game reshuffles everybody in their proper order, and so these things might happen. And there's another lap on the yellow.
And as you have said already, a lot of cars with a very considerable risk of going a lap down, and if they do that, their race, at least for a top of the field finish, is probably over.
It's not easy to get back a lap on a track like this. So the only two retirees we had so far with these latest incidents were Juha Boss and Greg de la Cella. Everybody else is on track still, although some people are already laps down. But we shall see when we go to green how the order pans out, actually, because although Alberto is scored as the leader for us, he is being told to follow Petr Lavac, and the pace car is getting in. Pace car is getting in.
So, green flag in a moment. And there we go, green flag is back out, and we are racing once again, as everyone will be trying to sort themselves out and find somewhere to run here.
I would guess Alberto didn't pit yet, and because of that he's indeed the leader, and he's well in front of everybody, but he's gonna have to pit. Second is Adam Hackman, third David Saber, and fourth Jason White, fifth Little Al.
And I just noticed, unfortunately, Alan Santo is out of this race as well.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And that's just one of those things. Oh, and a blown engine! That's a blown engine by one of the guys running towards the back.
Jules Bouchard.
He's been running dangerous in terms of the engine for quite a while. I noticed him smoking in the opening like 10 laps of this race, so that's unfortunate, but I think he pushed the engine a bit too far for too long.
Meanwhile, Little Hal was in the pits again, maybe to do his penalty, because he couldn't serve the penalty under yellow, as far as I know.
Most likely the case, and he drops to 7th, but here comes the rest of the pack. So from 7th on down, 7th on down, everyone is running in risk of going a lap down.
Yes, because Big Al is there in the middle of the pack, giving blue flags to everybody, basically. And while he's on the track leading, everybody else is going to be on their toes and try and pray to not go lap down to him.
And trying to unlap themselves if they can, as Fredriksson just did. Big Al being sandwiched by Yannick and Fredriksson going through 1 and 2. Oh, and here comes the former leaders. That's Adam Hackman, actually now running in front of his teammate.
Meanwhile, Holzvetter was in the pits.
Oh, and there's a big crash in further back. That is Ryan Walker, unfortunately, and August Watering. Oh dear me, and we have another yellow, unfortunately. Let's see if we can possibly find out what happened there. I believe Ryan Walker was running a few laps back, so let's see. That looks like Watering blew his engine going into the turn, I believe, and Walker unfortunately had nowhere to go. Oh, that's really unfortunate for both of them. Oh, and Chacon did a fantastic job on avoiding both of them. I'm not sure if Walker got going. No, Walker is unfortunately also a retirement, so another 2 retirees, Walker and Watering, in that situation. So unfortunately another yellow is out, and I think let's see if the field is somewhat more sorted out. I suppose so, because Ibanez is still scored as the leader and he hasn't pitted yet, so I'd assume he actually pitted as the yellow came out and profited majorly from it. But it looks like he has had some kind of contact, because now, looking back from his car, his rear wing looks slightly skewed. Unfortunately, Luciano Roja is out of the race as well. Let's see if we can possibly catch what happened to Luciano. That looks very much like a... Looks like we lose him now. I'm not sure if that's possibly a disconnection then. As Jereb is back into the pits as well for a quick fill up and new tires. Well, looking as we have a yellow flag out, let's have a quick look at the trivia questions so you have something to ponder for the last half of this race. So, for your appetites tonight, we have the question: which driver won both USAC IndyCar races held at Texas World Speedway in 1979, so the year after the event we are recreating here tonight? Was it A, Rick Mears? Was it B, AJ Foyt? Or was it C, Roger McCluskey? The answer to the question will come after the race.
And speaking of the race, it seems that David Yunt is the last driver to feel the heavy hand of USAC men, because he's was given a stop and go penalty, and he's now in the pits, and I believe he might have pitted when he shouldn't, so that's why.
That's unfortunate.
So with all this, Big Al is still leading, and now he's in the front of the field, or at the front of the field I should say, and Adam Hackman is second, David Saber third, Jason White fourth, and Davy Jakes fifth. Little Al, even though he had that misfortune with the penalties, is in a very good 6th place.
Indeed, and he got helped by that yellow, but here comes the next. Let's see, let's get the yellow flag out there, and immediately straight into the lead is Adam Hackman, so Ibanez with a slightly lackluster restart, and David Saber with a bit of fortune for himself up into second. So really making use of these yellows. He was way behind the leaders before the first pit stop. And unfortunately a fairly thinned out field now with what is 10 retirees, because Martin Lacina never took the start, but very unfortunate, but still 15 cars running, so still a bit of action to be had, as here comes some action. That looked like Jason White trying to go around outside of David Saber for second. And those Penske's clearly working very well, but so is that McLaren of Sabers. I believe that M24 was originally built for circuit racing, so I suppose these, although big bankings, it's fairly easy to keep the power down, and that is definitely working in the McLaren's favor.
Yes, the McLaren is basically an evolution of the the famous M23 Formula One car. And Jason White now really boxing in David Saber on the outside.
That looked very, very close indeed.
So Luciano Rocha told us that he had a connection lost, so that was unfortunate for him.
That's very bad luck indeed. He was putting on a really good race tonight, so really sorry to not see him get a chance to do the full distance and possibly get up in at least the top 15, if not more. Oh, as there's more contact between White and Sabre in the meantime.
They're giving each other no quarter, while David Yunt rejoins the race right in front of the leaders.
Well, as long as he's able to keep it below the yellow line, it should be perfectly fine. As he does so.
I should point out at this moment that although Big Al is running in 5th, he has a very, very bent rear wing, so his car is not working at the optimum of his performance right now.
I noticed that he must have been involved in some kind of incident earlier on that we missed. And talking about Junior, he is leading a angry pack with Schlapinski. I believe that is... what is Fredriksson, isn't it?
Yes, Fredriksson, Brian Janik, and Mikey Grimes.
And not too far behind is Raoul Jereb with an engine that certainly sounds like a Cossi, but not entirely sure if it is a Cossi.
Yes, I believe Jereb has a Cosworth engine.
Yates now passed Sabre as well, so Yates up into 3rd, but with about a half-second gap up, so he is hanging on to Jason White at the moment. Hackman 3rd, 1.2 seconds up the road. And Alberto Senior now falling into the grasp of Little Al in behind him. And also in there, Slavac trying to run his race as well as he can despite being a lap down. See on board with Ibanez here as Little Al looks up the inside. I think Big Al actually lifted there. Kept the speed up. Oh, and there's a spin and a big off! Dearie me! That was Rapinski, I think. That was a very strange incident. Oh, and Raoul Jereb spinning as well with a big off.
Did they touch?
No, I don't think so. Let's see, Schlapinski, I believe, lost the rear end in the dirty air. Yeah, he lost the rear end in the dirty air, and coming off the tarmac, it looks like his front wing dug down into the tarmac, and Raoul Jereb in avoidance spins as well with a very, very hefty off.
Well, Jereb is spinning again. I guess he's trying to get back to the pits too fast. Because he has no rear wing, and now he's on the grass. Fortunately, he landed on the grass right as the leaders in the pack was coming.
from the looks of things, that of the crash itself, that is probably more than just a wing loss. That looked like some suspension damage as well would have been caused, as we have another yellow coming out.
Yes, because we have Brian Janik upside down, or he was upside down in the front straight, and now he's another retiree. And Big Al has his car very damaged in the front straight also.
Dear me, so presumably they came together in some way, as it looks like Alberto is going to park it. This race is turning into a real big car breaker. Let's see here, so Alberto ended up a little bit wide. Oh, dearie me! One involved was Fredriksson. Oh, dearie me, that was a humongous crash for poor Brian Janik. Looked like both of them ended up in the same piece of tarmac, and unfortunately Brian Janik hit the pit retaining wall.
Well, that's not something you want to hit,
Wow!
especially at that speed.
Ooh.
I honestly believe that people are trying to drive, or to race in this case, too close. They should maybe give each other some more space. This is a super speedway after all. There's a lot of turbulence, a lot of things involved, and I think people are too busy trying to overtake the next car and maybe not paying as much attention as they should to their surroundings.
Certainly possible, as Fredriksson and Hlavac receives penalties. Looked like
Yes,
Hlavac
I
headed
guess
into the pit lane, so that will have been
for pitting under yellow,
indeed.
I suppose. For pitting when the pit lane is closed, actually. This is a more accurate way of saying it.
So I'd assume the way they are doing it is that the pit lane opens for the lead lap cars first and then for the cars laps down.
I would love to give you the answer for that, but I'm not sure actually, which is a bad thing to say for a commentator, I know.
I believe that is how they have done it in modern day
Yeah.
oval racing, at least. That's
Yes,
how they...
that's one of the possibilities. We had run that rule before, but either way, in your hut, it always tells you if the pits are closed to you or not. So, and we are going back to green again because I can see the pace car pulling in.
For sure, and it sounds like in the background the green flag is back out. That was a very quick clean-up. The clean-up, I think, was way too far. Oh, someone has blown the engine in front of the leaders, it looks like.
Yes, it seems Alger went back to the track just to blow his engine. So, you know, he wanted to show up on TV one last time, and that's the race for him, unfortunately.
Well, I'd say in terms of that, he will have been in the pits all that time to try and repair it, and clearly the damage was dealt to the engine as well, as he had that off earlier on.
Indeed, and Hlavac and Fredriksson both entered the pits to serve their stop-and-go penalties.
Right, so and Fredriksson slightly missing his pit stall by the looks of things, but quick to get it into reverse, as White is fourth at the moment, with Yates third, Hackman second, and David Saber with another cracking restart up into first this time. Whatever David has done to that McLaren, it is certainly working here tonight.
Yes, I'm sure with the help of the magic boost knob that he has, he was ready for it, and indeed he passed everybody up to the front. As 2/3 of this race are ran, so we have 66 laps on the history books. It has been quite an attrition race, even more than I expected, because we have 11 runners of the initial 26.
I believe, from what I understood from many drivers and Those who knows these things better than me, they were expecting maybe 2 yellows during this race, but I believe we are now up to 4 or 5. As here comes one of the Penske's up the inside. I failed to notice who exactly it was.
Adam Hackman once again.
So Hackman wants the lead back. Looks like Saber will hold on for the moment.
All these yellows have given some leeway to in terms of the fuel situation, I believe. So now people can maybe run more boost, and that's why they seem to be going faster, or at least it appears so. But again, they have to be careful because, as we have seen too many times already, Sydney, one mistake and you can pay dearly for it.
Quite so, and someone who hasn't made mistakes and worked these yellows seemingly to perfection is Mikey Gremsel. It's laying in 5th and holding on to this leading group in his comparatively very outdated car.
Rightly so, yes. He's seemingly coming out of nowhere, although not really, because we know what he's capable of now, and he was having a decent race, but now he's in the lead group and with a shot of a very good result.
So, and the action is really on. I think someone just scraped the wall up ahead there. Was that Jason White, possibly? A bit wide and scraping the wall on the exit of 4?
I admit I didn't notice that one. All I know is that David Saber is back into the lead and try to hold on to it as much as he can.
And understandably so. This is by far the best he's run in race trim so far this season, and I think he rarely got this far up last year either, so he'll be very, very happy to be sitting where he is at the moment. Oh, as he hits the wall hard, and Hackman throws the car sideways to try and avoid him. That will have made David Saber's car no good at all.
No, I don't think he got away from that one without at least having some yellow parts there in the hut. But he's back into the lead, so I guess he just cranked it up to go past again Adam. Well, or maybe Adam got so startled by it that he just, lost his concentration for a minute.
Well, it looked like both of them got caught out by the dirty air from the traffic ahead in form of Lavach. And I think that is Fredriksson as well. So both of them got caught out by that, but looks like they are now making their way past them.
Microphone muted. Microphone activated.
Yates now 2nd, White in 3rd, Grems up in the 4th, so Hackman dropped all the way to 5th from that. I think he ran a bit too hot into the turn and got caught out by the dirty air, obviously, and slid very wide and had to check up, otherwise he would have hit the wall even harder than Saber did just before him.
It's very possible. And then he had to back off maybe a bit because losing all the momentum around here, it's not something good. And as we could see, he could easily lose quite a few positions because of it.
Certainly so, and especially with how close everyone is running as well. When Hackman really struggling with the car, I wonder if his set of tires aren't quite working as well as he would have liked this late in this stint.
There is the possibility that he only changed the outside tires, and now he's paying the price for it, because of course your pit stop is faster if you only change 2 tires, but the downside is that you're going to have more worn tires on one side of the car later in the next stint.
Certainly looks to be a handful, no matter what kind of strategy he went for during the first set of pit stops. As now he gets past Ferguson, that took him way longer than I think he would have liked. And Grem's still really holding on well in 4th position. Equino Alberto Jr. currently in 6th, with Ferguson in 7th, Junt in 8th, Chacon in 9th, Lavage in 10th, so Chacon with a very good race here, despite the off early on in the race, where we saw him go off here in 3 and 4. He is currently running in 9th and proving that getting it to the finish will net you a good amount of points.
And David Saber's in the pits. David Saber's in the pits.
So that will have been the first scheduled pit stop for these last runners, so everyone else will be filling up with less fuel. Let's see how long this will take David and the McLaren crew.
So that leaves David Jakes in the lead, followed by Jason White, Mikey Grams and Adam Hackman.
Let's see, there comes Chacon. I don't think the leaders were far behind. They weren't. Here comes Yakes and Grems into the pits at the same time. When trying to slow the cars down on that flat road is definitely difficult. I wonder if Saber is repairing the car because he's still in the pit lane.
It seems so. It seems that after that bang on the wall, he maybe have forgotten to tell his crew not to repair all the car, and now they are there, you know, taking all the dings out of the bodywork.
Certainly it seems like it, because as far as I could see, he was running very well, even with that bit of an off, as here comes Yakes already out of the pits. And Graham's not far behind, and Saber is still stuck in there. So that's very unfortunate. Saber's great race comes to nothing, as his pit crew decides that the car needs polishing up.
Seems so. Maybe a demand from the sponsors, and meanwhile the two Penske boys are still circulating. They still haven't stopped.
Oh no, Mikey Grems just blew up coming out of the pit lane.
Oh, that's very unfortunate.
Well, at least he stopped near a fire engine so that they can put out
Adam
any
Hackman.
flames.
Adam Hackman is coming into the pits.
And White is continuing on for another lap.
That's true. Jason White stays out, so he saves quite a lot of fuel.
And here comes Daniel May in the background in the Volstedt, in for a final pit stop of... No, sorry, that is not the Volstedt, that is Alberto Junior in the Interscope car. From a distance they look quite similar, so...
That's true, but since you referred Angel May, we should, as Jason White enters the pits, we should say that she's still in the race, and with Mikey Graham's demise, she will inherit the top 10 position, at least for now.
That is a very impressive run indeed, staying out of trouble and running very nicely in this race.
Well, ultimately, that's what you want to do, especially in these races. We know that USAC, especially in the big tracks like this one, it's always important to be there in the end. It's in the end that everything is decided. So it was with some surprise that I saw people fighting so much until now, because this is the moment where things can get decided, and she's proving that exactly by staying on the track. She's going to inherit the top 10 and points just by holding on until the end.
Oh, and that's Chacon spinning in front of Jason White. Jason and Bruno always ends up on the same piece of tarmac at some point during these races. I'm not sure
So
that's quite how either of them wanted to end up on the same piece of track this time around, but looks like both of them will be able to continue. And I noticed way out in front at the moment is David Yakes. I wonder if he has thrown a masterstroke in pit strategy and short fueled or changed only 2 tires or both. Because he's got 18-second advantage.
Yes, that's quite a big advantage. And I would guess both of them. Yes, I would guess he changed only 2 tires, and he probably short fueled, and indeed is way out in front now.
Because I noticed during what would have been the 3rd yellow, I believe, Yakes was in for an extra stop, so I wonder if he changed all 4 tires just to set up this kind of opportunity. And I am a little bit unsure of if Adam Hackman can actually close in over a second a lap.
That seems a tall order, even for Adam.
We'll see now scrapes the wall as well.
Ooh, that's not the correct line around that corner.
And that drops him nearly 3 seconds further behind Yakes. I wonder if Adam was trying there to get more speed out of the car, and it immediately said,
Well, I don't think that would be the way to go, no. As David Yunt is in for another pit stop and he misses his pit stall.
Well, I think him and possibly Jakob Fredriksson still has to pit. Yunt obviously pitted now, and I believe Fredriksson probably have to pit one more time.
Yes, Fredriksson currently holding third, but that cannot last.
No, because
Again.
Jason White is just a couple of seconds behind there.
Indeed, Jason White is coming like a bat out of hell for him.
Oh, and there's another spinner off the track. I think I at least saw some tire smoke that's flown way off. And there comes Jason White, streaks past as if Fredriksson was standing still. That's the difference between a Corsa and an SGD/Offenhauser engine. I have to say Hackman is closing in on Yakes when Hackman ain't making mistakes, so this could be very close towards the end of the race. I very much wonder how this will play out. As Fredriksson then down to 4th, Alberto Junior in 5th at the moment, Hlavac in 6th now with Yunt in 7th, David Sabre in 8th, Bruno Chacon in 9th, and Angel May now has gotten into the top 10.
Microphone muted.
Ooh, Adam Hackman is really going fast now. He's leaving nothing on the table.
Well, seeing as he's going as fast as he can humanly go, let's actually jump on board with him here and see him at work. There's a bit of a lap traffic. Is that the Volstedt, I wonder?
It's Angel May, yes.
Very nicely done. Both are done. Hackman 16 seconds to make up in 12 laps.
Like I said, I think that's a tall order, but that doesn't seem to stop Adam from trying.
Certainly going quickly. And we still obviously have the question of the engines. Will they last the full distance? There's still a good few miles to cover here. Looks like Adam has calmed down this charge just a tiny bit though. Seems fully in control for the time being, but obviously maybe not closing in as much as he could be doing with that. But both Penske's in the top 3, they'll be very happy with that, I reckon. Even if they may, if it finishes as it is, feel that this is the one that got away from them in terms of a possible win. And We have a little bit of a battle here brewing actually between Junt and Hlavac. I believe Junt has caught up and passed Hlavac, but I could be wrong. And Saber not far behind either, and here he comes flying up the inside of Hlavac. Much older McLaren chassis and engine combination.
And after this, we have Little Al and David Yunt indeed fighting.
But unfortunately a full lap in between them.
Well, that's true. And I wonder if they do know this, because they seem to be very happy passing each other.
Well, Junt, I think, wants to stay away from Saber, who's coming up behind him, and that is full position.
That's true. That's true. That's Saber is coming, and he's coming quick. And indeed, he passed Junt, and he passed Little Al. He passed both at the same time. Although Little Al is one full lap in front of David Saber, that just shows how much pace David Saber still had, and how unfortunate was his situation in the pits.
Very much so indeed. Let's check back in on the fight at the front. Looks like Yakes has pulled a master stroke. He is able to keep the gap to a margin where he's probably fairly comfortable. 5 laps to go and 10-11 seconds in the lead. And it looks
Yes,
like
although Adam recovered nearly 10 seconds of the distance he had, which is amazing all in itself, I don't think it will be enough.
unfortunately not, but clearly the amount of work and time they put into this has worked out very well for them, running second and third for Team Penske. And the third Penske chassis, if I'm not mistaken, no, that is Juha Bosus running the last Penske chassis. Oh, and Hlavac has retired!
Oh, no, that wasn't expected. Maybe an engine blowout?
Probably. Looks like he was in. He headed into the pits for a quick splash. Trying to pull out of the pits, bit of a too prolonged throttle application there, spinning wheels, and as he went to put it into second gear, I believe, either the gearbox or the engine went pop, and that's it.
Well, it's an easy mistake to make, to over-rev while you change between gears coming out of the pits, and it doesn't take much to make these engines go pop indeed.
That's very unfortunate, but as you say, one of those things, and Fredriksson looks like he will be able to go to the end here if this is anything to go by, and he's actually just in behind. No, he wasn't. That's a full lap in front. But Fredriksson in 5th, I think he'll be quite happy with that, considering how the early part of this race went for him. And
so
obviously with the stop and go with 40-30 laps to go.
I believe he had yes, he had at least one stop and go. So coming out with a top 5 out of that, it's something that he can't too unhappy about, that's for sure. As Jakes is starting the final lap, his advantage down to 7 seconds, but well, that's more than enough for one lap.
Indeed it is. And what a masterstroke he pulled in the pit stops. That caught everyone off guard, and he is running it as careful as he can to bring it to the finish, because he is dropping time hands over fist, but it is enough. Here he comes across the finish line and takes the win here at
Texas
World Speedway. Thank you. So
Meanwhile,
David
there's
Yates
still a
takes the
battle.
win. Fantastic.
There's still a battle between David Junt and David Saber. They are fighting for position all the way to the line here.
There we have them, but it looks like Saber holds on to finish 6th. So a good, decent recovery drive, although I think he could possibly be a little bit disappointed. Finishing 2nd is Adam Hackman for Penske, and Penske also in 3rd in the form of Jason White. 4th for Alberto Equino, Alberto Jr. with a good drive. Jakob Ferguson in 5th, a good recovery from him, with Saber, as we mentioned, 6th, Junt in 7th. Rune Chacon kept going and finishes 8th, with Angel Mace finishing in 9th for Rolla Volstedt Enterprises. That little team will be very, very happy indeed.
That's true, and the proof that, you know, if you want any good position, first you need to finish.
Very much so. First of our retirees, and 10th is Peter Lavac. 11th is Mikey Grems. Alberto Maneth in 12th. Brian Yannick 13th. Jereb 14th. Sasausz Lapinski in 15th. Luciano Rocha finishes 16th. August Watering 17th. Ryan Walker 18th. Jules Bouchard 19th. Alan Santo 20th. Greg Delacella 21st. Juha Bos 22nd. Dana Schurer 23rd. Ray Riddle 24th. Drexler 25th, and the first of our retirees, Jason Fitch, will finish 26th, with non-starter being Martin Lacina after hardware issues. Before we go to the trivia question, we will take a quick commercial break, but stick right with us, because when we're back we will go through the trivia question and having a couple of post-race interviews, but until then, hang right with us, because we'll be back after these messages.
I've been putting up fence posts all day long. Hanson finally gets here, and all he's got is light beer. Ever taste light beer?
This is Coors Light.
The surprising taste of Coors Light comes from pure Rocky Mountain spring water and high country barley.
Not bad. Good. Really good.
And a way of brewing that squeezes a lot of the calories out but leaves all the taste in.
Hanson, I am surprised.
Coors Light, the surprise is how good it tastes.
For my first phone, I chose one of the first phones. I choose my friends very carefully.
If you're choosy about getting a phone that's genuinely you, be extra choosy and get one that's genuine Bell. Because when you get right down to it, this isn't the phone. This is.
For me, the choice was obvious.
Be choosy, get genuine Bell.
Adolf Coors came to America in 1868. He didn't have a dime, didn't even speak the language, but he did know about brewing, so he got a job in a brewery. And after 5 years, he decided to brew his own beer and came west to do it. Well, he stopped right here in Golden because Colorado had the Rocky Mountain spring water he needed to brew the kind of beer he had in mind. He must have done a good job, because what he started back in 1873 has grown into America's largest single brewery. It's a showplace of modern equipment and techniques, but they're just tools for the 6,000 people who work here. People make Coors beer what it is, just as they did when Adolf Coors started. People who like what they're doing, people who care, people who take pride in their work. You couldn't brew a beer like Coors any other way. Coors, our people make it better.
This is more than a car key. It's a philosophy. You only need one key for a Honda. Simple. It works on the hatch, it works on the gas cap, and the Honda runs on low lead, no lead, or regular gas. Simple. It works on the door, and it works on the ignition, either side up. You see, at Honda, we feel that the key is simplicity.
Honda, we make it simple.
Like a mountain morning sunrise coming slowly through the trees. Like an eagle when it spreads its wings across the blue sky breeze. It's all that's big and bold and free. Come taste the great outdoors. It's a part of what you're dreaming. Make it yours. Make it yours. Make it Coors. Make it yours.
I've been...
And we are back here at the Texas World Speedway after this thrilling race that it became, with a lot of attrition but some very good action. But before we get to the driver interviews, we have two of them with us here in the booth. Is the trivia question to begin with. Which driver won both USAC IndyCar races held at Texas World Speedway in 1979? Was it A. Rick Mears, B. A.J. Foyt, or was it C. Roger McCluskey? I got it wrong when I read the trivia question, but Richard, who do you think it was?
That's a very good question. A very good question. I'll go with B.
I'd say that's a very fair call. We also have David Yates with us. Any idea of who it could have been, David?
Well, I know Mears was always good on the big tracks, but that might be a little early for his peak era, but I'll go with that just because I have no real idea.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to answer because I wrote the question.
I was going to say Jason doesn't get a go because he knows the question in and out, I think. And the correct answer is B for A.J. Foyt. Congratulations, Richard.
Thank you. At least I got something right.
Indeed, and I believe Barry Lynn answered B as well, so congratulations to Barry Lynn on getting the trivia question right as well.
Yes, you did. Congratulations.
And yeah, we have the drivers now who finished first and third in this race, so congratulations to both of you. David, looked like you were struggling early on, but you found your feet later. Was that the case, or how did you read your race?
Actually, earlier it was great. I was able to stay in Jason's draft. Thank you for the first bit of the race there. Like, there were definitely cars that were faster, but I was just lucky in where I was positioned. I was able to catch some drafts and get some extra pace out of it. There was a big shuffle up on the first caution. That put me back. I'm not sure I was getting a message to stay behind, even though I thought I was in the right spot. So I ended up losing a lot of positions. But the way the rest of the race shook out, it didn't matter much. We got the cautions later, and really at the end, I think I just trimmed the fuel short and got a good pit stop, and that's what did it.
Yeah, we were a little bit in the question there. Did you choose to also change only 2 tires, or how did
I did only take 2. The left sides were matched perfect and staggered special.
Thank you very much. That was very clear cut. And you talked a little bit about the cautions. Were there as many as you expected, or was there lesser or few? I know there was a few different reads on how many yellows we would get tonight.
Yeah, I really didn't know what to expect. We discussed it before the race. A couple of the drivers, and could see it going both ways. Either it was going to go green, or there might be some cautions, because it's pretty easy to lose the car, and then when you do, even though there's the banking, there's the apron's treacherous. So Could have gone either way. We weren't sure what to expect.
That's a very fair call, and just looking forward a little bit to the next event. Round 4 will be the Gabriel 200 at Trenton. Very special little dogleg racetrack that. How do you rate your chances there, seeing as how it went at Phoenix and obviously here?
Well, Trenton's always an interesting one. I know a couple times doing practice for the pits, I noticed the car really didn't like turning to the right when you were trying to make your signal, doing down the back straight. So hopefully we can make some adjustments to fix that for Trenton, or else that kink's going to be very scary.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations once again on your win. And,
thank you. Just before I go, if I can, I got to thank Alberto. He took time out to help me. I was struggling a little bit without the front wing adjustment, being that the nose is fixed on my car, and he took some time to help me tune it up. So I appreciate that, and I wanted to thank him for that.
That's very sporting indeed. That's really great to see. And, yeah, we're also joined by our third place finisher, Jason White. Ahead of the race, you said you wanted to avenge a bit of a lackluster event last time out, and I would say that makes up for it very nicely, wouldn't you?
It definitely does. This is just what I needed to get back on the beam, so to speak, and my confidence is restored. I feel great. Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate David on a sensational race and dynamite strategy. Taking only 2 tires at the end was a brilliant move. I took 2 tires only in my middle stint and then had to go all 4 for the last one, and that clearly made a huge difference for you. So hats off to you, and great strategy. That was fantastic. And I'm definitely going to make a note of that for next time. Yeah, the Gould Charge ran fantastic today. The car behaved very well. It behaved perfectly when it was on its own. It was a little bit more of a struggle when I was in the draft. I had some really exciting dices with David Saber throughout the race, who raced me very clean and very fair. And it was there was a couple of close moments there, but I trusted that I could put my car in certain places and we'd be okay. And I think he drove a fantastic race. Towards the end, I made my final pit stop, and I took on less fuel because I knew that it was, but the advantage of taking on less fuel was nullified by the fact I had to take 4 tires because it was a 20-second pit stop. And on my way out of the pits, I nearly over-revved the engine. I came super close because I could see everybody coming on the front straight. And it was, so I got out of the pits. I tried to turn up the boost to catch my teammate, but I saw the temperature was climbing too high, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to chance it, especially after last week. I want to have a good finish. And so I turned the boost back down. I'd already gotten past Jakob, and he was falling backwards. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to bring it home. But I'm really happy for Adam, too. This is a finish that he very richly deserves. He and I worked on the setup a lot all the last couple of weeks, and it's the old Penske mantra of effort equals results. And here we are, second and third in the race, and we're back in the championship hunt. So, but a thrilling, exciting race. I'm drenched in sweat. I could use a Coors right about now.
Yeah, I know you said you were, if you had a good race, you would have a Coors. And
yeah, I'm going to go to the liquor store and get some Coors.
Of course.
For the occasion.
But before you do, let's just look ahead a little bit as well for you.
Sure.
With Trenton coming up next. How do you rate your and Adams and the Penske chassis and Cosworth engines chances there?
Well, I think Trenton. David's absolutely right. The kink on the backstretch is going to be a very tricky spot, but it's also going to be very tricky coming off of 2. We did some testing at Trenton towards the end of last year just to prove out the mod, and yeah, it's going to be dicey on that track. So the people who have the best feel for that track and have a car set up to handle well will probably be good. And of course, it's not a power track like this one. So I think you'll see the 4-cylinder guys back, a little bit closer in competition. But having said that, I mean, David just proved in this race that if you have the right strategy and if you play your cards right, you don't have to have 8 cylinders to win. So, there you go. It shows that, for the people who don't have an 8-cylinder engine, it's not necessarily the end of your rope. You still have some chances. And I think David just showed a lot of us how to do it.
So I think I echo that, and the way I translate a little bit of what you said is the guy with the best setup combined with a bit of fluffy shoes on his feet will have a very good event at Trenton.
I think so, yeah. But I'm really super excited about racing again at Texas later and at Michigan, which is a very similar track. We've proven that the Penske Cosworth is a great package for this type of a track. So I think Adam and I have a chance to do repeat performances or perhaps even better at those races. So I think we have every reason to be confident.
Yeah, it's certainly good to see more guys getting up there in the front end, and good fun racing to watch this event. And really looking forward to what the championship has to hold. Obviously, David takes a little bit of a stranglehold in the championship in these early stages, but there's still a lot of events and a lot of points to play for. So, any final thoughts on this event, Richard, before we finish off?
Well, it for sure was an eventful race, more than people expected. I guess the people that were complaining that there were not enough yellows got well served this time.
You asked for it, you got it.
Exactly, because there were quite a few, proving that the system is indeed working. And no, we didn't shut off the yellows. They are still there. And I hope and think that people, the rest of our racers, could watch what the fine gentlemen here, David Jakes and Jason White, did, for example, and remember that there's no point in fighting tooth and nail in these dangerous high banks for positions if you're not at the end of the race, because it's at the end of the race that everything is decided.
Certainly so. Any final thoughts from our drivers here in the booth, David or Jason?
Shout out to Angel May. She finished the race, top 10 even. Very nice. Shows that, like you were saying, you keep control of your car, you get to the end, that's where you get the positions, not at the beginning.
Yeah, she finished 9th. That's a fantastic result for her in the Volstead. I mean, generally, overall, I mean, I think people drove very sensibly. I had a couple of moments where scary stuff was happening in front of me, but generally people were very courteous, and I think it was an excellent event because of that. So I'm looking forward to our next race at Trenton, and I hope everybody watching on YouTube is looking forward to it as well. Also, quick shout out to Mario Andretti. Today's his birthday, 81 years young. Happy birthday to Mario, the guy who drove my car in real life.
Yeah, certainly. Happy birthday and big congratulations to Super Mario, or Mario Andretti, depending on how you look at it. But he was certainly one of the great drivers of a lot of years. Before we head off, let's have a quick look at what is coming up here at ISO. We have next weekend the Grand Prix de Monaco, 1986 F1, round 4 of 16. That is promising to be a cracking race at one of the crown jewels of the F1 circuit. And from all the races that has gone before now, anything can certainly happen there. And I'm thinking mainly was it in 1996, I believe, when Olivier Panis won the Monaco Grand Prix, when I think 3 or 4 drivers in total finished the full distance.
Yeah, when you think about the Monaco Grand Prix, it has thrown up some really interesting results over the year. Ones that come to mind are Jean-Pierre Beltoise winning for BRM in the rain in 72. Depaillet's fantastic win in 78, where he bested Nicky Lauda, who was throwing his car all over the place trying to catch him. Olivier Panis, that was a very awesome win. Senna almost winning in 1984 before they decided to stop the race.
Mm-hmm.
This is a legendary race, and of course the one where everyone's running out of fuel in 1982, and finally Patrese wins. It's a legendary race. I'm really looking forward to calling it next Sunday. It should be really exciting.
For sure. And then on the 14th of March, we will see the second round of our 1984 Deutsche Rennmeisterschaft, the German endurance championship for the International ADAC 1000 Kilometer Rennen from the what would be the semi-modern Nürburgring, the GP layout without the inner loop that was added, I believe, in 2001. So it'll be a quick chicane on the first couple of corners and then a straight run down to the S's before the hairpin at the bottom. It'll be a very interesting race. It'll be run slightly shortened to 500 kilometers, so everyone can run on their own or as a duo. That is completely up to the participants to work that out. And then on March the 21st, the week after, we will have Grand Prix de Belgique, the Belgian Grand Prix from Spa, and if I'm not mistaken, they had repaved Spa for that particular year, so that'll throw up a bit of a curveball for all of us used to running on a slightly different tarmac situation on that track. The 1986 Formula 1 Championship, and that would be round 5 of 16.
That's true. Two new tracks. Well, not completely new, but that our team here at ISO reconfigured so that we have two very nice circuits looking properly correct.
Very much so. I think that is by far the nicest Spa track I've ever ran on. I've only done a bit of testing to find any kind of faults with the track, but so far it's the nicest Spa layout and configuration I've ever ran, so I'm looking forward to possibly getting a drive there if I'm lucky.
Yes, that's the other thing we can announce. There will be extra cars because it's a long distance race. There will be extra cars, and of course you can share a car with someone since the race is going to be approximately 3 hours. So if anybody's listening and wants to take part in the action that you just witnessed, please come along to register in the proper thread, and the car assignment will be open from tomorrow.
And that would be for the 1984 DRM event, where we will see a lot of different and other cars than we saw in round 1. But I think with that we are more or less done with the event as such. Thank you very much to Richard for joining me in the booth and calling the race, and also to David Yates and Jason White joining us for post-race interviews, and Jason for a pre-race interview from this hectic, action-packed and fantastic Coors 200.
There you go.
Finally, I got it right. I've been struggling all week to try and get Coors said correctly.
Sounds fine to me. Thanks for the broadcast, Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jonathan. I'll drink some for you. And everything is bigger in Texas.
Everything is big in America, I've heard.
That too.
But yeah, with that, thank you very much everyone for tuning in. I hope you will be with us next weekend for the Monaco Grand Prix called by Jason White. But until then, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and have a great rest of your evening and a great week. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
User left your channel.
Well done, Jonathan. Well done.
Sound muted.